Welcome to Simply Caroline, a podcast dedicated to women empowerment where we will discuss a bunch of different subjects such as life, parenting, love, business, money, relationships, healing, recovery, addiction, entrepreneurship, and so much more. A podcast I'll do my best to keep simple, fun, and relatable and bring you tools to help you better your life. So thank you for being here. And here's your host, myself, Caroline Blanchard. Hello and welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being with us again this week. I have such a subject this week. I think the universe is sending me a clear message that I need to look into relationships. I have with me Macy Matarazzo, that is a relationship expert. Hi, Macy.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. So, Macy, what is a relationship expert? Clearly not me, but I mean, relationship expert.
Well, I have dedicated a significant amount of my life and time to learning about what creates healthy relationship, and my own personal journey to finding my person was challenging. So it took me until my 40s to find someone that I was really excited about. And so I learned a lot about myself and a lot about relationships and consciousness and communication that I sort of felt like I cracked a code. And as I shared what I learned, people were experiencing success in the relationship space. So that's when I decided to make it my true mission on the planet.
Nice. What were you doing before? Just curious.
Yeah, before I was in corporate world, I was not so enthused by that. I would spend every extra dollar I had on courses and trainings and retreats. And so I was developing my skills. I did go to college for art and theater, so I did have some time in that space too, but it wasn't really paying the bills as a 20-something working in theater. So I really found myself all of a sudden climbing the corporate ladder. And it was with this message that, you know what, I don't need a man. I can create my own success. And I grew up in a child of the 70s, where was what most people were saying to women. You can have success, you can have it all. And that was interpreted by me as, you know what, if I want to get married after college, then that would be not cool. Like, you've got to be making your own money. You've got to be successful in those ways, even though my heart was definitely wanting to have a person. And I denied my own heart in that and thought that, well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And it didn't happen.
Sometimes when you're not trying to make anything happen, it clearly doesn't happen. But I find it so interesting what you just said there, because I was raised this way. I was raised by a single mom. And, a lot of, when you said, like, you don't need a man, that's exactly how I was raised. And it was like, we don't need a man to paint. We don't need a man to change a light bulb. We don't need a man to repair anything. We don't need a man to move. We don't need a man to, survive. So it was really into, and yes, that was back in the 70s, 80s. It was really I guess the message was really strong to women, because before that, it was like the typical role was to get married, have kids, and stay home. So I guess this was like the break was around that period.
Yeah.
But that also left a lot of limiting beliefs with, love and wanting to be in love. Because I know that for me, what I was hearing a lot, when we would think about the Prince Charming and Walt Disney and all those
yes.
movies,
Right. We watched them all. all, right?
Yeah, and they make you watch it when you're 3-4, so it's like embedded in your brain that the prince will be ugly, he won't be nice, but he will turn like to be the best looking guy and like be super nice, and basically you'll live happily ever after. So long story short is when we were thinking about our prince, it was also associated to, well, why do you need to be in love? Which is a human need.
Exactly. I mean, to have connection and to support each other. I mean, that is really how we're wired. And I can see where a lot of people had that independence as a coping mechanism. Like, oh, if I can't get it from my family or my parents, I'd better figure it out and do it all myself. And that definitely can be a limitation in creating a healthy relationship.
Yeah, and just as you were saying that, I remember the feeling of, when you want to be in a couple, it's a sign of weakness almost. It's like if you can't do it alone, so you need to split everything in two. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, people have that, and that, is a misunderstanding and a lie that, unfortunately, then often leaves people feeling like they're missing out or missing something. And in some ways, we are, when we're feeling like we can't receive support or kindness or love from another person.
So let's dive in. You help mainly women over 40 to find the one. So it's funny because I met you and you're amazing and you have a beautiful vibe and energy, but I do have this little how could I say, not sarcastic, but this little vibe in me that is like, sure, the one, as if it exists, because you went into a very tough bracket here, women over 40.
Right.
Why choosing this bracket?
I chose it mostly because that was my own personal pain, that I was in my 40s looking around at a lot of my friends that were now coupled, and even some of them had kids in high school by that time. And I was feeling like, wow, there must be really something wrong with me. Whereas earlier in life, in my 20s, when you're around a lot of young people and people are dating and it's just sort of easy to meet people, that I didn't have that. I was very confident and I knew that I could go on dates if I wanted to. And it was just pretty easy. Go to a party, go on a date. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but I interpreted it later in life as a real flaw, a problem. I'm not good enough. I'm too much. I'm too weird for love. It came with a whole mountain of fears and problems and doubts that I didn't even realize had snuck into my world. And so that's why I focus on that, because it is different. And some people have already been married and divorced, and people come to me in their 50s and then their 60s and have a collection of experiences that they have formed a point of view around what that means about them. And it does take creating something different within in order to receive something different in our world.
Yes, and I'm going to be careful not to say everything that is going through my mind here because, yes, you said one big thing here is that a lot of us we have a baggage, so especially at that age, whatever your baggage is. So how can you go with that baggage and still have the hope to find something that will actually be, that marvelous if you haven't found it yet? It's a tough question, but
you have to make a choice. I mean, no one has to make change in their life. And I'm guessing that because I've listened to this podcast and I know the guests that you get, and I'm guessing that your audience is a lot of people who value personal development and self-knowledge, and that is kind of the starting point. Do you want to create something different, and making a choice from there, and knowing that any other time in your life when you didn't know how to do something or didn't know how to create something, that you can learn that. So it's kind of the difference between having a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And in this work that I do, it is kind of essential to cultivate a growth mindset, which says, hey, something's not working for me. I'm not happy with the outcome here. What else is possible? And what's it going to take? And being willing to actually lower some of those barriers to getting support or getting help. Because, yeah, we've been independent women all these years, and receiving new ideas, new ways of being, and some deeper work. The women who work with me end up going pretty deep because I can't remember if you said this before or after we went live, but those beliefs start so early in our life that we're looking at our parents. I mean, my parents were working their butts off and they were always busy. And I can see where my first belief of, oh, I must not be lovable came from, because they were really busy. They didn't really have time to cuddle us or play with us a lot. And I felt like there must be something wrong with me. And guess what? That carried throughout my life. And I didn't really acknowledge or become conscious of it until I did this work.
Yeah, and I think that you said a key point here is that it's mindset. Just like, you know, I've talked about mindset multiple times on this podcast, because whether you want it for business, relationships, and even though I'm a bit sarcastic about it, I do know it's all a question of mindset. And I do know why I'm not in, you know, the perfect relationship I want right now. It's because I don't want it enough to change what I need to change and address my limiting beliefs. And I prefer staying into my, I don't trust that it's possible. And, you know, we can still say it as a joke. But I assume that a lot of your clients have trust issues, especially like over 40, because you had so many different experiences in your life. It goes from your parents that didn't, you know, give you enough attention, to the teachers, to the friends that dumped you, to the boyfriend, to, like, we have so many experiences of disappointment that one of the key point to work on must be trust and self-love.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's definitely pretty easy to erode trust when it comes to relationship stuff, because one, we're not educated on how to have an intimate relationship pretty much ever. And then, you know, if you do have a relationship that doesn't work out, it's easy to point it back to you and go, okay, well, I must have done something wrong, or point it outward and say, you know, blame other people for it. And it does take actually having that intimacy and vulnerability with yourself enough to say, I have my own back. And to me, this is such a spiritual path that, you know, being able to grow into trusting something bigger, something greater, that infinite being within you. And a lot of the work that I do helps people connect to that truth, because the truth is you are the source and you're the only one who can create your life. Beautiful.
Beautiful. I agree 100%. And it's funny because talking about this today, I'm like, yeah, why am I not in a relationship? And I know it's my own choosing, but because I did grow a lot in the past years, and before that I used to blame everyone else. Like, things were not working because they were not okay. The other one. Now I do know that I was a common piece to all that didn't work and what worked as well. But coming to that realization of like, it's me that I need to adjust, or it's me that I need to understand. And I said it to so many people, like, if you don't fall in love with yourself, you can't fall in love with someone else, or someone else will have a hard time loving you because you don't know how to love yourself. And I say it so easily because I read it in books and it's just like in my brain, but to apply that is so difficult. So what are your expert tricks on that?
I'm glad you asked that one. I really am. Here's the thing. Like, I don't even like the word self-love. And the reason why I don't like it is because the word love is so triggering for so many of us. What that means, how it was manipulated, how it was taken away, how it was used against us, like all of the things. There's a lot of words in the relationship space that can be very hard for people. And it doesn't mean that you can't use some sort of gateway into having kindness with yourself. So I like using different words. So I invite people to, what can you do to appreciate yourself, to have just some kindness and gentleness with yourself, and find what actually works. And if none of those words are working right now, then my next level tool is to say, I'm open to being open to appreciate myself and to give myself the space of choice. Because the other thing that I love that you said was, well, I kind of want a relationship and I could just choose it. And why am I not choosing it? And that kind of thing. It can start now. Like, even just having this conversation can be part of the like little mini choice that leads to another choice that leads to another choice of being open to what the universe might want to reveal for you. And it's not going to be from going from A to Z in 3 seconds. And sometimes it can be. When we have awareness about how we've been functioning, and then that comes into our consciousness, like we're conscious of, oh, I've been functioning like this for so long because of this, without having to go into wrong or right or good or bad, like just be there and say, what else is possible now? I mean, that's how it works.
Well, I can hear some people thinking this because I'm thinking it right now. Yes, but it's also work. Like, relationships are work. And, for me, it's like, it's work, and it's time consuming, and it's energy consuming. And I'm going to say something that I just realized while you were talking. For me, it's also like, when I'm in love, I feel like I'm not 100% in control of myself. I feel like, when you're all giddy and you're thinking about the other one and you're like, oh my gosh, can I see you now? No. Can I see you now? No. Can you call me? Mm-hmm. For me, that's like, I don't necessarily have the energy anymore at my age to put myself in that position. So there's the element of work that I know a lot of my girlfriends do think that, like, yeah, it'd be nice to have the Prince Charming, but gosh, I don't want to have to take care of one more kid. And then you have on the other side, but I'm so much more in control when I'm not in love. Do you get what I'm saying? Or am I completely weird?
No, you're not. Totally not. And that's really good to notice that. I mean, it truly is that. It's like, when we think about being like crazy in love, it's like that giddiness is like, oh, and what are the benefits of that? Like, sometimes it's really fun to be giddy in love, right? I mean, a lot of people who are in it, and just to be aware of what can be different here. So the challenge is exactly what you described. It's like when we've decided that relationship is X, Y, Z, because that is what I've seen, that is what my parents had, that's what my ex was, work, struggle, pain, heavy, hard, like all of those things, then that's where you are. What I am on a mission to help people get is that when you're creating something new from your heart, like something new and different, likely, which I like to call it unicorn love, because it's the kind of thing that you don't think can exist, but it actually does because it's in your heart. You have a sense of what it would be like. And maybe it's just a vague sense, but like maybe you have a glimmer of, oh, it'd be really fun to have someone help me change a tire or take me out to dinner or make my life easier. And that's usually what people haven't experienced. And so my invitation for people is, what if you are actually wrong about what relationship means and has to be? And what's it going to take to get into the space beyond, where you're actually tapping into a beyond this reality, beyond all your history relationship that is in your heart? And that's hard to do, but it's possible. And that's what I noticed in my own personal experience, that I had the same kind of relationship over and over and over again until I did this work and really connected to myself and showed up for myself and listened to myself and said, oh, wow, I'm not too weird. I've not been weird enough. I'm not allowing myself to be all the weirdness that I truly be. And once I was like letting myself and honoring myself and appreciating myself, then I was appreciated by different people. And quickly after that, once I started dating after that, I met my beloved, who is creative and smart and successful and likes animals and wears like hilarious vintage clothes, like all the things that I wanted that I never thought I could have in one package, because I just decided it wasn't possible. So if you decide that, you get that. So it's, it is sort of next level creation, but it's also massive, brilliant healing and transformation, that when you can have someone who does make your life easier and does, I think of relationship in a totally different way. I used to think of it like visually, I would think of it like I'm dragging a bag of potatoes. Like I was always the one who was more successful, who, had my shit together and all of that. And now I see a co-creation that continues to up-level my life.
Wow. Well, you make me want to have a relationship. I want yours. But, I'm going to ask you a few questions, like myths that are...
Okay, cool.
Like one of them is, work. Love is it's work and it's efforts. You need to work on your relationship. I always had the vision of like, no, love is a feeling. Love is something that should be nice. It's something that should be pleasant. It's, yes, I know there's negative sides to it, but it should never outweigh the positive that it's bringing you. So, and I heard that a lot from couples that have been together for years. It's like, oh no, often it's a choice and you have to work at it. So what can you tell us on that, Macy?
Yeah, I mean, I can't deny that there's not work or effort in connecting with another person and learning about another person and helping people through struggles and being able to be vulnerable with a person to say, this is where I struggle and this is what it looks like when I'm stressed and fearful. And there are all of those things. And as far as like, oh, love is work, I changed that to, this is an opportunity to play into love, because truly the mantra I received from wherever is, how you love your life is your love life. So everything is part of your love life. And how you love your life is your love life. And I know that to be true. When you are in your life, you're playing, you're having fun, you're honoring you, you're in community. Community is a huge part of it too. Like if you want to meet someone, you got to meet someone, you got to meet people. So there are things to coordinate and to take action on, like inspired action to create a relationship and meet people. And yeah, so I invite people to use the mantra play into love as a different way of looking at it, and also co-creating versus compromise, because a lot of people will say the other myth, which is, oh, love is compromise. And no, who wants to do that? No, I don't want to like give up me for a relationship. And that's probably why you said you felt like you feel out of control, because there's a part of you that feels like you're losing you. That's when you feel out of control. Feeling giddy is amazing. Feeling out of control is something you can change. You can, and in the chaos, you can create a lot too. So if you know at your core that no matter what happens, you will be okay, then you don't have to fight against all of that. Yeah. Because you will. You have been, you are, and no one can do anything to you.
You're absolutely right. You know, and that it's funny how there's some principles in my life that I apply so well in business. I'm coaching people on it. I'm really teaching how to apply mindset, how to create in your mind before you create in reality and all of this. And you're basically teaching me this right now. It's like, it's manifestation, it's creation. You need to also, take responsibility and be really who you are. So in the end, it's really all of that, you know?
It is. And I've had a lot of business coaches and money coaches work with me as clients, and they have the same response you just had. They're like, oh my gosh, it's the same thing that I do with my clients. And it really is. It's like, if you can think of your business as a lover or being, or money as a business, or money as a lover or person or beloved, then it's the same thing.
Well, I'm ready to be a millionaire.
You are a millionaire. You're $1 million. I can see you right now.
Awesome. I was talking in relationships.
I know. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, what are your thoughts on online dating?
I am a big teacher of it. So, and what I say about that is that it is a tool. It's just software. It's not the boogeyman. It's not someone out to get you or anything like that. It is what the modern dating world includes. So for people who grew up in our generation, I'm probably older than you, but still, like, we grew up without it. So it does take a little education to play in that space if you're not used to technology, or just feeling like it's wrong, just inherently wrong, because I should be meeting my person in the produce section of Whole Foods. Then you can, you have to kind of monitor, like, well, Do we really want to hold on to that? 99% of the women that work with me do end up meeting their person online. It just is really convenient. And there are a lot of benefits to being able to consciously search and, meet people without having to spend hours hanging out at a bar or hours at an event hoping there's men there. Because how many of us
section,
yeah, and really and know nothing about them. And so I say, if you're resisting it or feel like it's bad and wrong, a lot of it's probably because we're just not used to living it, growing into it. And we've made those ways right and this wrong. But we also have to remember that when roller rinks were created, that was where people would go meet people, and that was that time. And before that, it was, the neighbor has a daughter your age or a son your age. We're going to fix you up so that you guys can have babies and raise kids for the farm to work on the farm. So it's just how the world has evolved. And there's so many different apps and tools and things like that you can add into your experience. I will say that if you have a lot of fear or pain or unfinished business around relationship, a broken heart or low self-esteem, it's going to be painful to do online dating because it really is a magnifier of it all. So it does help to be healthy. It helps to be very clear about who you are and what would make you happy in a relationship, to know your values and to be able to express that and to not take things personally, because most people are not your person and most people who write you on an online site are not your person, and that has nothing to do with you. It's fine. You have to be managing your experience, and that can be really hard for people. But that's where I find it to be really helpful as a coach to work with people in that phase. I call it the SuperLOVED system. I have 3 phases.
Okay.
The first phase is that deeper inner work, getting to the subconscious places of where we decided we are not good enough or we don't need a man or whatever the thing is that keeps kind of replaying, whether we know it or not. It's sabotaging our relationship space. So getting to the core of that, then coming into the dating space from this different energy and being able to implement some things, whether it's volunteering, going to social events, taking a class, and online dating. You want to have some strategies to actually meet people. I mean, that's just math. And so
business, it's just numbers. The more chances you have.
Exactly. I mean, and if you're counting on Prince Charming knocking on your door, then maybe you'll fall in love with the UPS guy, but maybe not, So, so then that's the phase where, I actually help a lot of people. I'll do some online matchmaking and things like that with people and just help them kind of stretch their space of possibility.
Well, thank you for this amazing answer. And I think that another key point that comes again and again is, you have to do work on yourself to change your limiting beliefs. Because for me, one of my limiting belief that probably comes from the 80s is that I'm not going to say that word. Only people who are not attractive and who are not winners are doing online, because the rest will be able to do it face to face.
Right.
But it's not that. I remember my daughter, a while ago, told me she met someone on Tinder, and I almost fell off my chair. I was like, what? Why would you go online? You're young, you're beautiful. Why are you on Tinder? She's She's like, Mom, it's not that deep. It's like, I just wanted to try it. But
Right.
I was shocked, because for me,
Yeah.
it was like going against all of my beliefs. But I do know I have a few friends that did meet their loved ones online, and it's going very well. But like you said, you have to be ready, and you also have to know yourself to be able to find the proper person, because otherwise, big chances are you're going to end up always cycling in the same history that you know.
It is. It's so huge. It's so different. And that part kind of breaks my heart, because a lot of people have just maybe thrown themselves online and said, okay, well, I guess I'll do it. And then they have the wrong attitude, terrible profile, awful pictures with this sort of, if they're going to like me, they'll just like me as I am. And there's like no presentation there to help people connect with you. And then the beliefs are proven true. See, nobody likes me. See, I'm going to stay single forever. And so it's, leaves a lot of people at a place where they're like, I will never do that. It doesn't work for me. And I've definitely changed a lot of minds. I will say, personally, I had the same thing. I was in my 30s. I think I was probably on the first online dating site that ever existed, and I was so ashamed. I felt like such a loser. Like, what am I doing? This is not cool. I must be really awful if I have to do this. And so then, I had years of sort of shameful dating, and you can imagine what kind of relationships came out of that. And then it wasn't until I really, changed my beliefs around that and said, you know what, this matters. Having someone to share my life with matters way more than any other fear. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to be 2 feet in, and I'm going to have fun. I'm going to play into love and have fun and live my life.
And I think that that's really the message we need to keep from this interview. Is that, it's a beautiful thing and it is fun. You have to want it, and you have to give yourself that gift. Because unfortunately, the UPS guy is not my style, and Prince Charming will not come at my door. I'm still waiting, but they don't come at your door. So, Macy, what would you leave people with? Like this one thing that you absolutely want them to know, like all of these women over 40s or under 40s. I feel like, age is just a number there, because a lot of us have the same experiences. There's those single moms out there. There's women without kids that are wondering, like, well, when will my turn be and everything. What would you leave them with, like this one precious thing?
I will say that if you have the desire for a love relationship, know that you cannot have the desire without that person existing on the planet. And there may be multiple people that are great for you. I don't really believe in the one, but just if you have the desire, it is possible. And then it is up to you to do whatever it takes to get yourself aligned and out of the past, out of the fears and the doubts, so that you can actually play into love.
Yes, and I will put all of your information. So if you need support, I was going to say help, but I should say support, because it's the appropriate term here. Like, contact Macy. I feel like we ask for support in a lot of different areas in our life. The one that is the less awkward is when you go to the gym, you're like, oh, I'll take a personal trainer. That's just like totally normal. We don't even question.
Right.
So we should be like that in every department in our life, where we do need people that, first of all, the external look and the external perspective is so insightful.
Yeah.
And just me right now talking on this podcast today, I'm like, wow, am I negative or what about love? So hearing yourself saying stuff as well really helps, when you're in a discussion. So contact Macy, ask her for her support. She's a beautiful woman, beautiful energy, beautiful vibe. You will connect. And really, what I want to say, Macy, is that all of this is non-judgmental, and you're really there just to help.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. And, it's time for women to not feel like they're doing everything wrong and to actually claim their heart and what they are here to receive.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. And to everyone listening this week again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. If you have any comments or suggestions, you can write to me at info@simplycaroline.com. I was going to joke and say, or if you want to hook me up with someone.
Well, I think there's no bad way.
Yeah, but I don't. No, I don't. I still believe in the face-to-face for now. So thank you for being here this week. And I will put all of Macy's information. And Macy, you are lovely. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.